recruiting trips, I know that sometimes I was really timid when I would approach recruiters or people who worked at a company because I wasn't sure if they would think of me as being technical enough. So I like having my face present, so even if someone can't speak to me, they know, like, oh, someone who's just like me is at this company. I'm here too. Yeah.
All right, so looking around in this room, I see a lot of Black women in tech. I know that, you know, the stats say that over the years, the number of Black women in tech have decreased, right? I'm curious to know, you know, we're all kind of fresh in our careers, pretty new, some of us are more senior, but I'm curious to know how you kind of view your next few years in tech and what you think your trajectory is going to be. I mean, obviously, as specific as it can or not, because
yeah, I mean, like, 2 weeks from now is like thinking way too much in tech world. Everything can change and burn and whatever. Well, I know that my goal is definitely to, you know, continue being a software engineer and eventually become a senior engineer and a staff engineer and all that stuff. But in order to do that, I have a lot of studying to do. Like, you have to put in the work. Like, just the idea of like, oh, I want to be a software engineer and I'll code like an hour a day. It's like, you're not going to get anywhere, sorry. You definitely have to study. And so yeah, lots of studying, lots of books, lots of practice, and just contributing and kicking butt.
So my vision for myself, probably like a decade from now, is to be a VP of engineering somewhere. And I've always been a very goal-driven person. My dad raised me to focus on my goals and have short-term, medium-term, and long-term. That's not on my go. But in the interim, right now I'm like a mid-level engineer, so next step would be to become a senior engineer, switch into management, and then start working my way up the career ladder.
I'm still figuring it out. So I have a long-term plan. Like I said, I'm from Tanzania, so my goal is to go back and work in tech there and kind of become a consultant to startups that are trying to move into the international market in tech. So long-term, there. Short-term, coding's fun some of the time. I don't know, I have other interests that I'm still exploring and I want to like find a good balance between that. So right now I'm like paying my dues, learning what I need to learn. I'm on a very, very intense team that has it's a great learning opportunity for me, but I'm also exploring entrepreneurship and all the things that are related to that, which will be helpful. The startup market, the international market business, all of these things that will kind of come together and get me to my long-term plan, and probably might move into like product management stuff. Like, yeah, I'm not like in love with coding every day, and I don't see myself doing that full term. Though I'm happy y'all do. When you know, you know. And it's okay if you don't know and you're still figuring it out, which is where I'm at.
Thank you. So another question, and also, are we allowed to have the audience ask questions too? Is there time for that? Don't know who I'm speaking to, but
Sure.
Okay, great. All right. So, okay. So one of my last questions is, what advice do you give to both either women of color who are trying to break into the tech industry, or those who are already there and kind of maybe feel that even though I have the skills, maybe this isn't for me?
Be kind to yourself. Like, imposter syndrome is real. And you're like, why don't I know this yet? Like, am I dumb? It's like, you're not. I mean, maybe, but like, probably not. Just kidding. And so like, be really kind to yourself because everyone else may not be. And you have to like, be patient with yourself and like, give yourself more time than you think it would take. Like, okay, I'll learn this in 2 months. That's a good goal. But sometimes be realistic with this stuff. And if you're not sure about, if you're like, everyone's talking about code, and should I learn how to code? Like, is this for me? Like, there's so many ways to get into tech without having to be a software engineer. And if you're interested in that, like, just go onto LinkedIn. And, go onto, like, the company website you want to, like, let's say you want to work at Slack, for example. And you're like, okay, what are the technical names? Like, what are the titles of these technical roles that people are in? Like, how about like a technical recruiter or like, there's so many literally blank right now. And so know that there are different paths just because you don't find passion in this one thing, it doesn't mean you're doomed. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There's space for us and there are paths, and just keep moving forward and ask us questions and reach out to people. And the world is your oyster. It's there. You can do it.
I definitely agree with that. What I would also say is that if tech isn't fulfilling everything for you, it's not supposed to. Like, in the end of the day, it is a job. You can kind of move around and kind of find the things that work for you. Go on LinkedIn or Google, hey. And find the role that fits for you, or make it yourself. There's so many different things that you can do that in tech and match it with your other interests. What I love about tech is because it's so versatile. So if software engineering is not the thing that floats your bubble, like, are you interested in fashion? Fashion and tech together, there's definitely a field there. Is it art? Is it robotics? Like, where are you going with this? And finding like your path and the people who are there that you can kind of have as an ally to move into that field. Oops. Or you can start at the job that's kind of like, okay, and then slowly move your way there to the things that you love, which is kind of where I'm at now. So I think it's like staying with it, finding what's more interesting and passionate for you and moving towards there. And if you're not in love with it, it is still a job at the end of the day. Do your other stuff on the side that helps fulfill you as well.
I completely agree with all of that. I would also just say that if you are trying to break into tech, rely on your community. Like, there are lots of us out here who are Black and more than happy to meet with someone for coffee, take on a phone call. Like, people reach out to me through LinkedIn a lot, and I love talking to them when I have time. So I think that it's important to try to like rely on your community and like form that network to fall back on if you have questions or hardships or anything like that.
Great. Just to kind of add to what you all were saying, in terms of feeling like maybe you don't know what you're doing at work, just know that at your companies there are maybe about 3 people who are actually geniuses, and everyone else is Googling their job every single day, trying to figure it out. So don't ever feel like you don't know. Like, literally everyone is making it up as they go. So also do that, and no one will notice. And then as far as resources, you guys mentioned a few, LinkedIn and Google, but there are things like 2020 Shift. They do non-technical roles at tech companies. Every single industry, there's a tech component. Just like every single company has a finance and a lawyer, there's always a tech component to it. So really, there's something out there for all of you. And so I kind of wanted to open up if anyone had questions. I think just raise your hand. For our lovely panelists who work at amazing places and have good experiences. Yeah.
We'll repeat your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, you said that if you were saying how people were at their jobs and they really don't know everything. My question is that I am transitioning, trying to work for a tech company, and what I'm trying to go to the West Coast, by the way. My thing is that when you apply for these jobs, you got to use your resource. You got to go, like, we're going to talk. But my whole thing is that are they really expecting you to know everything in that job description? Because that's impossible. So that's why I want to know.
So the question, just for the cameras, because we're recording, is do you have to meet the job description 100%? And if you don't, how do you get around that?
Personally, I apply to anything that interests me. I read a study once that said that women are less likely to apply for roles if they feel like they don't hit 100% of that. My way of challenging that is I let them decide whether or not I am qualified enough, and if I'm interested, I will express it. And I think in general, they don't expect you to know everything. Like, when I got to Google, I don't know a lot of what my team is doing, and part of that is they trained me. And I am still in training, and I'm still making mistakes, and I'm still Googling everything, and they gave me a book, and I'm still like, okay, there are days I'm like, wow, I'm kind of getting this, and then other days I'm like, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. Like, this is a tomorrow thing that I'm gonna have to do. So, which I think it's hard when you are looking for a job to kind of like get that in your brain, but there's also such luck involved in job searching. It's such a difficult thing So that I feel like just open your search as much as possible to things that interest you. I'm not saying like go apply for a random job. And then keep at it. You might be surprised at what will, if they don't like you for that role, they might find another role that might be better off for you too.
And sort of piggybacking off of that, I don't think that the important thing is to fit everything in the job description. I think the important thing is to fit everything you say on your resume. Because when we're interviewing people, we care that all the skills that they say they have, like we can drill you on that, and those are actually what we can expect from you. Because if you make it to the interview stage after applying, like clearly they like your resume. So the goal then is just to understand like how close you are to that resume. So apply to what interests you, and then just make sure that you know the stuff that you say that you